Hey YouTube! So today's video is going to be a book club book review on Ruth Sookup's book, Living Well, Spending Less, 12 Secrets to a Good Life. So first off, before I get into kind of my takeaways of the book and my review, I do want to thank Catherine from Do It On a Dime and Hillary from My So-Called Home for kind of creating the book club, choosing the book, and that sort of thing. I definitely am really excited about having a kind of community within the community, and I'm really excited to see what people thought of the book. So thank you guys so much. Now, first off, I am going to give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer. Every single book club meeting I have ever been to, there's always at least one person who didn't 100% finish the book. Hands up, that was me. And I do definitely have, there's lots of reasons for it. But just so you guys know, based on my review, we're kind of going off a partial book here. The next thing I will say is I got this book as an audiobook from audiobooks.com, and I would suggest if you're, someone who, if you haven't read the book yet, and you're, kind of looking at the book club reviews, and you're going to, purchase the book after the fact, I would definitely suggest going with either a digital copy or a paper copy as opposed to the audiobook. Now, there are a couple reasons for this. First off, the format really wasn't conducive to being completely read out. There are a lot of quotes and Bible verses at the beginning of the chapters, kind of mid-chapter, kind of scattered around. It wasn't it didn't make it very clear where the chapters ended and started and what you were looking at. It also means that it was really difficult to kind of figure out where you were, like if you were in a specific section, or if she was talking about something general, or if she was inside one of the numbers. It was just a little bit confusing, and I think that definitely made it more difficult to consume. Now, that was just kind of a side note. So going into kind of my takeaways from the book. First off, I would say my initial reaction to this book, kind of the general word I would say is heavy. This is a book that demands reflection, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it means that it's difficult to just kind of passively consume, which especially with audiobooks is something that is usually done. You'll be sitting doing your makeup or writing in your planner or whatever, or cooking dinner and listening to an audiobook. This guy here, I found every 25 to 45 minutes, I needed to stop and go and get some tea and a snack and really focus on how the things affected my own life and really reflect on what was going on in the story, as opposed to being able to just kind of being a passive observer of her story, which like I said is not a bad thing, but it does make it a lot more heavy. It means that it was more difficult to kind of just listen to. Now, if you're looking for something that's a very easy listening or easy reading, I would not suggest this book. But if you're looking for something to really kind of affect your life and really kind of reflect on how you are living and how you are spending and how you are prioritizing and thinking and planning and dreaming, then this is this is a better book. So I would say that I have three major takeaways from this book. First off was definitely your focus on, she at the beginning of the book gives these great images of kind of taking cutouts of her perfect home and all of the items she wanted to put in her home and her perfect focus, and really how she figured out that was not what made her happy. and that you couldn't, get 100, or you couldn't feel fulfilled even after doing all of this thing. And I think that something that was important for me to recognize was that I think that's something that we all do. We really look at whether you're cutting out pictures from magazines or doing it on Pinterest or even just doing it in your own mind. I think we all have images of what our perfect home will look like, whether it's, a clean home or an organized home or a calm home or whatever it is. And really, that nobody's image is ever going to be 100% complete, and that you don't get fulfilled by what your house looks like. Having a clean coffee bar isn't going to make me feel fulfilled for life. It's just not what matters 100%. And really recognizing that it can be difficult, especially as somebody who right now I'm staying at home, I'm on medical leave, and knowing that that's not where the value lies. So that really leads into my second takeaway, which was her focus on priorities. Making room for the big important things in your life, and knowing that, you can always fill in the gaps with, media consumption or creating YouTube videos or coloring or whatever, your low priority items are, whatever they are for you. But if you don't prioritize first, then you're filling in the gaps, which are the spaces where things like your family or your home or your job or whatever your big priorities are, places that those things are supposed to go. Now, my third big takeaway was her big focus on writing things down. I've always been a list maker and a note taker, but really, as far as journaling or reflecting, that sort of thing, I very rarely keep or write or do. And really being able to kind of dream on paper was definitely it was really kind of awe-inspiring. I guess it was something I never thought about, but being able to kind of actually look at what your hopes and dreams are and what you wanted to do in the next 5 years, 10 years, or kind of going back in the opposite direction. 10 years, 5 years, what do you need to do in the next month to make that happen? What do you need to do in the next week to make your monthly goals happen? And being able to actually visualize what that looks like. I think that the whole concept of writing things down is an important one. And that'll definitely kind of help the reflection. So I guess my overall view on this book was I was pleasantly surprised. About 30 to 45 minutes in, I was like, oh my gosh, who picked this book? What is even going on? I do not like this. What have I gotten myself into? And then being able to actually listen to more of her tips and being really mindful as I was going through, I found that I really could take some takeaways from it. And, and I'll probably go back and finish or, listen to more of the book a little more casually. Am I inspired to go and, binge listen to the whole rest of the book? Probably not. Is this something that I will never touch again? Probably not either. I'm definitely in the middle, and I think that there is some value here, and I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. So if you read the book, I would love to hear what you guys thought. Or if you listened to a few chapters of the book and didn't whatever. I would love to know that I'm not alone. So definitely give me a shout down below. Let me know how you did with the book and what you thought of my review. And I will see you guys all on the flip side.